Hey, have you ever had multiple buyers and sellers all clamoring for the same properties at the same time, and you, as a real estate agent, were right in the middle of it? It's exciting, but it can also be confusing and cause problems. Let's talk about what can happen. I'm Pat Porter. I'm the broker for RecLand Realty. Here we talk about the rural real estate business and ideas and information to help you better manage and enjoy your own properties. Well, in this video, I want to talk about how recently one of my land agents got in the middle of a deal, or multiple deals, however you want to look at it, that included three different parties and three different properties, and they were all intermingled and connected in some way or another. And he was the single agent in the middle of all of that. First of all, he got going and started putting together offers for one party to buy the next party's property, and then when he sells that, he will buy the other property. And without getting into all of the details, because I don't want to give away any confidential information from the clients or their properties, they were all seven-figure deals. All of the parties were more than capable, willing and able to buy and close on whichever property they bought. And he was the single agent in all of them, meaning he had the possibility, if everything worked out just right, to have 6 sides of closings on seven-figure deals. So you can do a little bit of math and realize that, hey, this was going to be a good day for this guy if he got all of this closed. But it caused some problems for him, dealing with all the phone calls, dealing with all the back and forth, dealing with all the moving parts, as I like to call it. And he called me, and we sat down and had a conversation, and I gave him some information, gave him some advice on what he needed to do to get all of this rounded up so that he could get the deals closed and would do it the right way, professional way, ethical way, and stay out of problems. The first thing I said to him was slow down. Really, he had all of this going on, working out the details, and what about this, what about that, and then the other parties were, contacting as well. He had all this flurry of activity going on, and I told him, I said, dude, slow down. The only way you could kind of wrap all of this up is to really slow the boat down and get a good grasp on every detail that every party's bringing into the mix. Really get your mind around it and work it the right way. So the first thing when you got a lot going on is slow down. Real estate is a frenetic, busy, exciting business, but it is not open heart surgery. You do not have a patient lying on the table that's waiting for a split-second decision that may or may not save a life. Yeah, real estate's important, but it can slow down just a little bit. You can take time to process, digest, and get things set up the right way. The patient's not going to die on the table in the next 10 minutes. You got time to get your mind around things, to ask questions, to get information, to follow up on something before you go to the next step. So first thing I told him was slow down. Second thing I told him was get it all on paper. Now, in our business, and probably a lot of land agents out there, you do things the same way because I deal with a lot of you. You'll do verbal deals. Now, that doesn't mean that you never get contracts or paperwork. You do, but I may have a client that calls me and goes, "Hey, Pat, I'm interested in so-and-so property. I've looked at it. I've talked about it, da-da-da-da. I want to put in an offer." And I'll call the other agent or broker and go, "Hey, I have a client who's wants to make an offer, and he's at XYZ." And we'll just sort of negotiate things verbally to get it to a meeting of the minds, and then we'll paper it all up one time. Now, not everybody does that. Not everybody's comfortable with that. But in our world, that's a pretty common process. We do things verbally just to keep from going back and forth with 15 different offers, counter, being so cumbersome with all the paperwork. We'll get it narrowed down, and then we'll paper everything up based on the terms that everybody has verbally agreed to. And that works 98 times out of 100. Every once in a while, you have somebody that will back out. And what I tell clients is, okay, yeah, I hate that. But what have you lost? Nothing. The property's still on the market, still being advertised. Nobody knows the negotiations that's gone back and forth between you and the other party. You haven't lost anything other than a little bit of time on the telephone. So it makes life much simpler. But I told my guy, I said, hey, you got all these things going on these 3 different properties with 3 different parties. let's get it on paper, because there was a lot of going back and forth at one time, way too much to keep it all managed. And so the way to nail everything down was to get it on paper. And that really brings all of the talking and all of the action, all the ideas to a final place on paper that everybody's agreed to. That was an important step, and I recommend it for you as well. Bring all of those rats on the ship into one cage, is how I put it with my guy, and we did that by putting it on paper. The third thing I told him to do to keep things understood and clear was to communicate everything to all the parties as proper. Now, he was the only agent in the middle of three different people, so there was a lot of information coming into his ears that he had to process to go, okay, now this I need to communicate to this party or that party, but this is confidential information that I really can't communicate. And he needed to be clear on that, because he was representing these people. And in Louisiana, as a dual agent, you can do that, but there are things that you can and should communicate to all parties, and there are things that you can't communicate to the other party. You know the difference in what you can and can't communicate. Be sure to keep everybody up to speed on who's doing what, who's looking at this, who's making a counter on that, because there was 1031 exchanges involved, there were counters involved. There was a lot going on. And again, I'm not giving you the details, but I did tell him, communicate everything to all the parties so that everybody's in the loop on all the moving pieces, so that you as the agent, just remember, you're just the messenger. Now, I know we like to make ourselves real important, like we're, the biggest part of the deal. But at the end of the day, all we do is communicate information from one party to the next. We facilitate. We're in the middle. The decisions rest on the principals. And I had to remind my guy of that. He knows, but he was so caught up in this that he was sort of losing sight of the fact that he's just the messenger guy in the middle. So communicate everything to everybody, so everyone is 100% in the loop on all details at all times, only the things that are proper to communicate. Don't let some of that confidential information that you need to keep to yourself slip out to a party that doesn't really have the right to know it. Hey, and the last thing I told him, how to keep all of this rounded up and to get it all done the right way, I told him, forget about the commissions. Forget about the commissions. Now, for him, that's easy to do, because he's the kind of guy that he just wants to do the right thing the right way and move on down the road, knowing that good things are going to come his way by just doing things the right way. Now, there are other agents in this world. I know them, you know them. That's all they're thinking about is the commission. What happens when you're involved in a frenetic deal like this going on is you start looking at the commissions, and you will start manipulating the deals so that it works out in your favor, not in the best interest of the clients. And that's a dangerous place to be. My agent has the ability, if all of this were to come together a certain way, he has the ability of making 3 big commissions, 3 full both side commissions. So that'd be 6 sides. That's the possibility if this were to fall out a certain way. But handling it the right way, the way that he did, the way I encouraged him to do, what has happened in all of this is he's only going to make 2 commissions. He's going to make both sides of 2 separate deals, not 3 separate deals. Now, had he manipulated at a certain point a little bit of the conversation, a little bit of the action a certain way, it's possible that this would have worked out as a 3-way thing, that he could have made both sides of 3 big commissions as opposed to 2 commissions, but he didn't do that. And I'm glad he didn't. That was the right way to handle it. He did not manipulate the deal, and I'm glad he did it where he got 4, because at the end of the day, it was exactly the right way to handle it. It was exactly what worked out best for all the parties, and everybody can move on down the road. The commissions are going to come. The commissions will take care of themselves. Your job, my job, our job is to do the right thing the right way for our clients. Go to sleep at night knowing you did the best you could. You did it as top shelf as you possibly could. The money will take care of itself. Keep your eye on the prize, and the prize is finishing deals the right way for your clients. And that was kind of a whirlwind video, but I hope that in each one of those points you got a little piece of something, a little piece of information that'll help you do things the right way every single time for your clients, regardless of the commission, so at the end of the day you got happy buyers and happy sellers, and more importantly, you've got an intact, rock solid reputation to help you in the deals to come. Thanks for watching our videos. There's some more. Check them out.